What's going on, everyone? David here, and welcome back to this week's video. Now, before I get into anything recipe related, I have to say thank you from the absolute bottom of my heart for 100,000 subscribers. To be honest, I borderline broke down in tears the other day when it happened, and I wrote this whole sappy message on Twitter, but something that I've been doing for so long and have put so much time into, I never ever would have thought that it would have gotten to this point. So from the bottom of my heart to every single one of you who have ever favorited or liked or shared with one of your friends one of my videos, thank you so much. I was trying to think of really cool and different or exciting things to do for this video, and I just couldn't think of something big enough. Although when I do think of something in the future, I will do it as soon as I think of it, and I promise it'll make up for this. Anyways, enough with the sappy stuff. Let's get on to this week's recipe. I'm beginning to notice a trend in the types of recipes that we do on this channel most often. Last week was our 4th or 5th pizza related recipe, and this week's gonna be our 4th or 5th Oreo related recipe. Even though it only came out a couple days ago, these cookies and creams puffs have already been suggested a ton to me on Twitter and on YouTube, and there's quite a few daunting steps that go along with this recipe, but let's get right into it. Alright guys, so the majority of this recipe is broken up into 2 parts, and for both of those parts you're going to need some sugar, some half and half, cornstarch, flour, water, a ton of eggs, butter, and the most important ingredient of all, a crap load of Oreos. So step 1, you have to separate the creams from the cookies in these Oreos into 2 separate bowls. They said about 25 cookies, but I just did the whole package. Step 2, throw your cookies into a blender or a food processor and blend that up into a nice fine powder like this. And now we're going to begin making our filling. So in a pot you're going to throw in 2 egg yolks along with 2 cups of half and half. Combine that with a 1/4 cup of sugar and a 1/4 cup of cornstarch, and then whisk that thoroughly all together. Now you're going to turn that up to medium to high heat until it gets nice and thick like this, at which point you're going to throw in half of your creams and then mix that in until they melt down. Take your mixture off of the heat, throw it into a heat-proof bowl, and then wrap that up with some plastic wrap. Also, you have to make sure the plastic wrap is touching the top of the mixture so it doesn't develop a hard little film layer on top. And then throw that in the fridge. Now we can begin making the pastry part of this. So in a different saucepan you're going to combine 1 cup of water with a whole stick or a half cup of butter. Put it on medium to high heat until it starts boiling, then throw in a half cup of flour, a half cup of your crushed Oreos, and then mix that up until you get to this very dark motor oil resembling mixture. Either way, take that off of the heat, and then one by one you're going to throw in 1 egg, mix it thoroughly in, then another egg until you do all 4 and it gets to this paste consistency. The next step requires a piping bag with a large circular tip. Grab yourself a cookie sheet with some some parchment paper, and then one by one carefully pipe about 1-inch rounds onto your cookie sheet. On this sheet I think I got about 7 or 8 on there, and then throw that into your 425-degree oven for about ½ hour. 30 minutes later I took these babies out and they're already looking pretty good. They blew up a lot and they're holding their shape. Now all you have to do is grab your knife and carefully poke a hole in the top of each one of these. Grab your cream filling out of the fridge, throw that in a different piping bag, and then carefully pipe into each one. These things are pretty hollow, so it's easy to pipe a lot into, but do not overfill them. Once that step is completed, pull those off to the side, grab your creams from earlier, and then melt those down in the microwave. Dip about the top 1/3 of each pastry into your melted creams, and then sprinkle some of your Oreo dust that is left over on the top of all of them. My frickin' lord, these things are looking banging. Someone email Carlo's Bakery and tell them to start selling these things. Now before I taste these, I just have to say that as far as appearance, these things might be in the top 2 or 3 recipes I've ever done. These things look like they came straight out of one of those really expensive Italian bakeries in the city. See if it tastes as good as it looks. Yo. 10 out of 10. No questions whatsoever. The filling is amazing. It's not too sweet. I thought it was gonna be too much, but it's perfectly light. The outside is crispy and airy, and oh my god. And then the top is just covered with straight up Oreo cream and crumbles. So absolutely, undoubtedly 10 out of 10. 100% try this at home if you got a couple hours to spare. Holy shit. Hope you guys enjoyed this extremely successful recipe this week. If you did, hit me with that big thumbs up. Let's try to shoot for 7,004 days. Again, I have to thank every single one of you for subscribing to this channel and continuing to watch every single week. It means more to me than you guys can ever imagine. And if you have recipes that you want me to try that I haven't done on the show, let me know down in the comments. Other than that, have an absolutely awesome week. Hopefully I'll be back here next Sunday for another DIY video. Peace! And literally as I'm ending this video, look what my adorable, thoughtful little mother has bought for me today. Everyone, take a cute little family screenshot of this. Thanks for the thoughtfulness, Mom.
You're welcome.
When'd you get it?
Today, lunch.
On her lunch break, too.
Spent my lunch break.
Did the people in the store think you were weird?
No, they didn't think I was weird. Don't drop it.
I would.
Chocolate chip cookie for dessert. Thinking of my boy.
Thanks, Mom. You're the best.
No problem.